A wild first round at Monza showed us that we've got a high bar for this season right out of the gate. Mosport is a track that usually can keep up that torrid pace, and that's literally because it requires such high speeds itself. Let's see who can handle the dangerousness of this Canadian staple as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is a point of pride for motorsports fans up north. Let's see why with our track guide.
Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Mosport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Mosport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac, but any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Mosport continues to provide.
Ryan, this should be a good one to follow up on Monza with. This almost always puts on a pretty good show in the 49s.
It absolutely does, and if it was anything like Monza, I think Mosport is going to produce even better action today as well. This 2.4 mile track has been around for quite some time. It's hosted loads of racing such as IMSA, NASCAR, the NASCAR Truck Series. Anything that's been here, that's probably raced here in the past, and the best passing opportunities around this track are probably going to be the exit of Moss, that double right-hander. That's one of those corners that you want to maybe try and back off early and try and set up for the exit to carry that momentum down the straight and possibly try and get a run down that Mario Andretti straightaway. And then you've got the Essie section where you can make moves possibly even on the outside, but you've got to be fully alongside the car in front of you to try and make that move stick. Or even the exit of the final corner, White's corner, you can possibly try and make a move into that final corner. But I think the keys to the race around here are going to be patience, timing your moves, and just trying to keep out of trouble, especially heading into turn 2 Clayton. It can go horribly wrong because the car tends to go light, and you've got to be very, very careful. But looking forward to this race, and with a field of 37 cars, it should be a good one.
Absolutely. And I'm glad we've got Ryan here because while I have driven the car a lot, Ryan is probably a lot faster than me. He can give some better feedback. Now, Jorge Nieva has proven to be very fast, taking his first ever win in the series back at Monza. Now, the question is, can he back it up here today? Ove Trangrade has a history of being quite quick. He's got 2 wins and 2 poles at this track, so he is usually pretty on his game. Now, when you look a little bit outside of this, Glenn Becker is going to be one to watch out for as well. We're hearing word that he has been looking very quick earlier in the week, but he was not really a factor back at Monza, so what's going to happen here as we come to round 2 for the F1 driver standings? But we also have, for those under 2,500 iRating, Ryan, the F2 standings.
Yeah, so the F2 stands at the moment is Bjorn Ackerman. It's currently leading with 45 points, and then only 2 points behind him is Paul Foster with Andrew N rounding out the top 3. And then you've got Steve Morris and Jonathan Jourdain in 5th. 6th place is Jan Stefan with Terry Tromshauser in 7th, with Derek Matthews in 8th. Akira Shimotori in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Elliot Ornberg.
Then we get to the Cup of Nations. Now, Spain being at the top is understandable, but honestly probably would be a lot bigger if they allowed multiple drivers to contribute. Instead, it's just the highest driver of each country that contributes to these points, because Spain had 3 out of the top 4 positions at Monza. They're looking fast this year. We'll see if it carries on. Singapore down there in 3rd, followed by Germany and the United States. Not really too much difference in these points here in the first round. So watch out after this one to see if things change up much. Ryan, why don't you walk us through the race details for today, though?
Absolutely. So this is round 2 of this 12-round championship. And the race length for today around this Mosport circuit is 27 laps. 27 laps around here probably feels like an eternity with these Lotus 49s. And then the setups are open as always, so any changes that you want to make, you are free to do so. But there's no spare car or fast repair, so if you wreck this car and you get big damage, there's no second chances. And then you'll get a drive-through at 17x, so if you go to 17x or over that, drive-through penalty. And if you get to 25x, you will be disqualified from the race.
So keep it on the black stuff, and unlike the modern version, there's not really much in the way of paved runoff out here, so you definitely got to keep it between the white lines. Now, on the first time around, John Olsen, interestingly, is our provisional pole sitter. Sanchez has put himself into second. He's been looking quick lately, and just as I say this, Jeff Saunders crossed the line just now, and he's up into third ahead of Nieva, who is trying to back himself up. Hisada only fifth on his first lap. We're watching Nieva get ready to cross the line. Hisada goes quicker to 17.4. He is now our fastest, and Nieva has topped him with a 17.423. It is just over 300ths of a second for our pole time currently.
I'm looking at Xavier Sanchez, a name that's been around in the Lotus 49 for a while now, and currently coming through the S's now, and it looks like he's on a good lap at the moment. He's currently in P5 in qualifying at the moment, but it looks like this could be a good lap, and he could possibly improve as he comes round the final corner now onto the home straight, and it looks like he's coming across the line, and he does a 117.3 up into pole position.
Wow. So Sanchez finding speed on that second lap here today, and it is a warm day, so interesting that drivers are getting quicker on the second lap. Received Jeff Saunders on his second go. Remember, he was on provisional pole after his first lap. So does he have something special here in the number 17? Certainly punching above his weights. And no, he does not improve. But 109 Fahrenheit, that's 43 Celsius, Ryan. It's going to be slippery out there.
Yeah, and with these Lotus 49s, these drivers are going to have to be very, very careful as well, because even if you get one slide in these cars, even a big slide, that can possibly overheat the tyres. And as we ride on board heading down the home straight, or the Mario Andretti straight, I should say, with Yuri Geisen, currently 24th at the moment, and Yuri's been one of those drivers that's always been around in the Lotus 49 community for a while now, but I think only got back into racing the 49 last season, I believe, or the last couple of seasons. But he's coming round the final few corners now. Looks like he could possibly improve his lap. He's only on a 19.3 at the moment, but it looks like he could possibly do a 117 as he comes across the line. It looks like it's going to be an 18.0. So Yuri improves his position up into 11th.
Nice run for him. Looks like Jack David Spickett is going to get enough time for at least one lap. He might be able to do two here. It's going to be tight, though. And he needs at least one because he hasn't set a time yet. He's going to try and maybe wait till late to see if it cools down just a little bit to give him that edge around this circuit up north. And it's a 17.834. That is actually good enough for 8th place. That's very, very nice out of him. And he's got just enough time to come around for a second one if he doesn't make a mistake.
Yeah, quite possibly, as he's coming through the turn 2 downhill section I was talking about, and it looks like just watch the wheel work. It looks like it's a smooth lap at the moment, and he's not having to fight the car too much. But this is probably the trickiest section in corners that I find tricky with this car, because the car just wants to move around, and you don't want to fight it. Otherwise, the car just comes around at you, coming through the Moss corner, and it looks like it's a good exit heading onto the Mario Andretti straightaway, and could possibly improve his lap time as we're just coming to the closing stages of the qualifying.
I'm showing him 4/10 quicker, which is close to pole. JDS has been showing himself to be a man to watch over in the Lotus 79s, but that's a very drastically different car, despite sharing the same maker. And right now, he is going to show that he doesn't need wings to fly. He is going to be quick here in this Lotus 49 out of the final turn. He's got enough time to complete the lap. Let's see if it is as fast as it's saying. 17.436. That is good enough for the outside of the second row. So that means we've got time for our grid now, as everybody has set a lap, and Sanchez is on the pole position. Jorge Nieva will start from second, followed by Ove Traingrade third, and we saw Jack David Spickett there complete his second lap and go into fourth. Toga Hisada, only fifth today, but usually he's quick in the race. John Olson will start next to him in sixth. Dario Frattini returns and will start seventh. Jeff Saunders is eighth today, followed by Robert Plumley in ninth, and Ben Zocco rounds out your top 10.
Starting in 11th place is David Rossi with Yuri Geisen alongside him in 12th. And then you've got Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado in 13th, Glenn Becker in 14th, Paul Foster 15th, with Neil Kemp in 16th, Matthew Maudsley 17th, Steve Morris 18th, Michael Grinziger in 18th, 19th, Matt Linden in 20th, and the rider at the top 20.
Jaden Hopp starts 21st. Bjorn Ackerman will be P22. Then it's Andrew Ang in 23rd. Thomas Tuba will start in the 24th spot. Quarter century goes to Terry Traumhauser, as Jonathan Jordan will beat his outside in 26th. Timothy Porter in the Netscape car will be in 27th. Then in 28th, it'll be Jan Steven. 29th goes to Derek Matthews. And then just a couple more cars here. Ginn, Kieser, and Brown are the last set times down to 33rd, whereas Jason Clapper, Kurt Clapper, Richard Covington, and Robert Reynolds round out your 37. And they are getting close to going here. We're just waiting on Marco Salgado. No, it looks like he is out there. So just Isan Ginn at this point. He is the last driver that needs to grid up. And then we are good to go. A slight dip in the temperatures down to 106 now. So it looks like it is cooling somewhat, as it is about 3:30 in the afternoon virtual standard time. But I don't think it's going to drop much more depending on how much cloud cover we get today. It looks like it's 2 minutes, so that is it. Everybody who wanted to grid up has gridded. The engines now start to rev as the lights come up, and the green flag is out, coming off the line. Jorge Nieva is much, much faster as Sanchez cannot hold him back round the outside. Nieva is going to get right back to the lead. If he can just hold on down into Clayton, he's down to the inside. He switches back to the racing line, but who can survive the fearsome downhill plunge of Clayton as the field now piles into this corner?
Yeah, that was a great start from Jorge Nieva. He held it on the outside in turn 1 and managed to set that move up for turn 2 into Clayton. But yeah, I think Sanchez is not going to give that up very easily. But it looks like watching throughout the field, it looks like the field's had a relatively good start, and there's no major issues from what I can see as they come up into Moss Corner.
Paul Foster, unfortunately, had a big problem with his connection, caused some lag there at the start-finish line and a bit of an accident. So a couple cars were collected in that. I see about 4 of them in pit lane, unfortunately. Isan Ginn, who I mentioned failed to grid, started from that pit lane and avoided all of that. So he's back out and running at the back of the field. Meanwhile, up at the front, Nieva leads Sanchez and Hisada, your top 3. So Jorge Nieva has basically not let his lack of pole slow him down here. He wants to show that he is not a one-hit wonder at an odd track with Monza, and he's going to try and take a legit win.
Yeah, he's ahead of turn 1 now, and it looks like, just watch out as well. Another person that has had a good start as well is John Olsen, but as we ride on board with Jorge Nieva, still leading this race, and I have to say I've been quite impressed by Jorge over the last few races, especially the last week at Monza where he managed to take the win, and he's definitely a driver that's improved massively, and could he take another win around this tricky Mosport circuit? Never say never.
And for the fans of Netscape has crashed because Timothy Porter unfortunately lost control coming out of Moss Corner, and he is now in pit lane. But look at the train that's starting to form here. You do get some slipstream in these cars, but it's still not easy to pass here, even without the wings. Just not a lot of heavy braking zones, at least comparatively. Although this is a great run from Sanchez, and he's going to look down to the inside. Nieva does not defend. He'll leave the door open, and unfortunately, that's going to allow Sanchez to try and sneak through, and he is passed and into the lead.
And look who's joining the party now. It's Togo Hisada in third place, coming in to join the battle now. So since Sanchez is into the lead now, can he pull away? I think this might be his best opportunity if Jorge Nieva starts creating a bit of a train behind him, but we know how feisty the Quesada can get sometimes, but it's still early stages in the race as they're coming to Clayton, and John Olsen won the fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, Olsen looks like he's kind of quick here, but he's still in 5th. He doesn't have the track position, and he's trying to defend. That is Jack David Spickett, who he's managed to overtake since the start of the race. Even JDS was a bit surprised at his performance. He mentioned on the grid, to use lofty heights for me in quali, not used to top 4. So let's see if he'll be used to racing up front here as they all accordion together coming into Moss Corner, but they're going to get away with it now as they once again accelerate away. Can Nieva pull the same move right back?
He's got a good run heading down the Marion straight away, and I wonder if he'll try and go around the outside. I think that would be a bit brave at this stage of the race, but yeah, Sanchez is wise to that and defends the inside line very early, and yeah, we've got a bit of a train starting to form now from the Nieva, the Quesada, Trent Gray, John Olsen, JDS, and looks like Dario Frattini as well.
JDS almost made a move on Olsen that time, coming into the S's, but couldn't quite get it done. They were side by side as the train carries on now here already on lap 4, and it is not splitting up. Really, this is the first big gap we've got back to Robert Plumley, kind of leading the second group, but he's still within range. He could catch back up. You can see it's not the greatest of distance. And in this next group is our only onboard cam we've got today, Glenn Becker. Let's see if we can take a quick glance at him, sending us his feed from the number 14 today. Started in 14th appropriately and is up 1 into 13th. He's chasing Yuri Geisen in front of him right now.
Yep, rider on board with Becker into Moss Corner, and I think just watching Becker as well, he looks more than happy to just sit where he is at the moment, because up ahead of him, and you've got that kind of train going on at the moment, and we're only on lap 4. So yeah, I think Becker's just playing the waiting game, and Becker's one of those people that's been getting a lot of coaching from a certain Mick Claridge, who's pretty much you could say a maestro of the Lotus 49, and I think I believe he's not racing this season due to going on his journey again, or adventure, Joe.
Yes, sadly though, he's had a hiccup. There's been some problems. Those of you who've been following it, unfortunately, a lot of his gear was stolen, so it's interrupted the ride. I'm sure we'll get a full updated on the show when episodes start coming out for his latest attempt. But there's going to be a fundraiser eventually, as down to the inside of Geisen, Glenn Becker takes a little bit of a look, but can't make the pass happen. Apparently, we're having a few problems here with our onboard cam, so apologies that we haven't been able to show that quite yet. We'll try to get that up a little later. In the meantime, close fight here for the 12th position.
Indeed, yep. It looks like it's Geisen, Becker, and it looks like behind this battle as well, you've got a Lopez Salgado in it, and they've got the VR cam.
Yeah, we've got Glenn Becker's on board. So yeah, you're right. Running a VR headset, which I'm sure helps a lot in this nice wide open car. And he's gonna. Oh, I'm surprised he didn't try and take a look around the outside here, but decided to back off of it and get back in line. He had great momentum, and I like the little bit of a smile that we're seeing cracked there. He's having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Tried to just run slightly wide there into the penultimate corner, but yeah, having a good time. And I think he got the run on the Geisen, but I think he maybe just thought he didn't want to try and go for a move in case it went wrong, because with these cars you're having to fight it so much that the car sometimes going over some of the bumps can come loose on you when you don't expect it. So I think Glenn just maybe like I was talking about, just playing the waiting game.
Meanwhile, up at the front, Sanchez has been having to continue to hold off Nieva. There's been a couple attempts at the lead, but Nieva's not been able to pass, and now he's backed off a little bit. He's got Quesada still breathing down his neck, who I'm sure is eager to try and steal another win himself. Quesada has been racking those up. John Olsen, in the meantime, looks like he's had a problem exiting Moss Corner. He carefully tiptoes back onto the track so as not to run into anybody, but he's going to lose massive position, and who knows what state the car is in as he's going to spin off and wreck it a second time. So he must have damaged the suspension or something. Oh, he got some help.
Yeah, it looks like Olsen was maybe he's stuck in that bit of a train, and with all the cars being bunched up, especially into Moss Corner, it's so easy to get caught up in a bit of a bottleneck effect. And unfortunately, I think the car that was behind Olsen, John, that was so close to wiping someone out.
It was a light touch from the back, and he didn't hit the wall the first time, so that's strange that suspension was broken as badly as it appeared there on that second attempt, unless he just accidentally spun up the tires or something. Regardless, we are back to Ove Trangrade sitting in fourth, and we're starting to get a breakaway because of that little incident. Looks like Frattini's losing touch with these top four, and I'm sure they'll greatly appreciate that because it seems like the draft is pretty powerful today.
Yeah, I was just about to say, especially down this section here, the Maria Andretti straightaway. It's so. I think it looks like Dario Frattini's had issues.
Yeah, so the former leader of that second pack is now falling back to 16th position. He's finally going to get it geared up and going. So, and just maybe a little too much speed. I don't think he got contact there from what it looked like.
Yeah, and I think this is pretty much this stage of the race as well. It looks like we've got a battle going on for 11th. Glenn Becker, it looks like it looks like he's trying to make a move there, but yeah, there's plenty of battles going on down through the field, further back in the field as well. And Glenn Becker's having fun, but he's being made to sweat a little bit.
Oh, but he got a great run, just has no place to take it. Coming up into Clayton as Geison's going to defend the inside behind them. Watch out for Salgado and Kemp. They're also in their own little battle there. Salgado not quite as high as he was in Monza, but here we go. Glenn Becker going to make a move as we check out the battle for third position with Ove Trangrade, and he's going to stay put in there for now. No, actually, he took Togo Hisada. Hisada was in third. By the way, looks like Becker did not get Giesen, even though he made an attempt to pass for what is now 10th place.
It looks like, Becker's still trying to make a move. He's also having to defend behind him as well. And from Neil Kemp in 12th. So, as I head into the S's now, and probably one of the trickiest sections of this car as well, because you've got to be very smooth as well. But yeah, Glenn Becker's pretty much been in the thick of the action as well, tried to make moves as well, but also having to defend now as Ove Trangrade puts in the fastest lap of the race now. Trangrade currently sitting in third.
So as they try to dice their way around the first couple corners here, can somebody find an advantage as they come around the double apex that is Clayton Corner? Both of them cutting back in to try and launch off of that downhill, but nobody finds an edge amongst them, at least for the time being, and there's still plenty of racing left to go. I'm sure one of them will be patient enough to wait for a mistake from those ahead, and behind them, it does look like that's Steve Morris and Matthew Maudsley that are starting the game.
Yeah, and this is the thing as well, if you're squabbling away amongst yourselves in a pack, this allows the cars behind them to close up as well. And like we're seeing now, Morris and Maudsley, I think they're not really fighting each other, and I think they're working together in a way to close up to this pack in front. And I think they're definitely closing up there, because these 3 cars in front of it, or 4 cars, sorry, the more they fight, they're allowing Maudsley and Steve Morris to close up as well. And yeah, definitely Steve Morris right there in the same shot.
And you mentioned Becker being coached by Mick Claridge. Not only is he savvy in this car, he's the winningest driver in this car on the broadcast races by more than double, or nearly double, actually, of the nearest driver, which is Michel Dudignon. But it's been fascinating seeing the complexion of this series change since Michel has stepped aside and Mick Claridge has obviously had other interests recently that he's been chasing. Big slide there, though, coming from Giesen. And a bigger slide. They're going to come together.
Oh, no.
Oh, off the track, both of them. Into the wall goes Glenn Becker. Giesen manages to keep out of it. But now this means that Neil Kemp gets promoted into 10th, Salgado up to 11th.
Yeah, and I think Becker was maybe trying to just show his nose there. I think he maybe just I think maybe in a panic he just braked too hard and it made the rear snap around. And unfortunately, Yuri Geisen, as much as he left room, he just unfortunately got tagged by Glenn Becker. Nothing malicious. It was just one of those racing deals.
And as this was happening, Togo Hisada also had a spin. Not sure if we can get it, but it's around the same time coming out of Moss corner. It sent him back into sixth. Here you see live. He's now stuck behind Robert Plumley and about 4 seconds off the lead. Let's see here. It looks like we're trying to find it. This is coming out of the corner. This should be out of Moss, so I think we may have gone a little too far back here. So we'll see if we can get that one pulled up. In the meantime, we're back live now. So your leaders have gone down to Sanchez, Nieva, and Trangrade, with Sanchez kind of pulling away, looking like he's got about half a second gap. He's not completely out of the woods, though.
Yeah, and I've got a back marker come in front of them heading into Moss corner. What gets out of the way into Moss corner, so good heads-up driving there. But I think, Sanchez just seems to be maintaining his gap. But as I say that, it looks like Nieva and also Trangrade have got a run on Sanchez slightly heading down the Maria Andretti straightaway, headed down to the S's. But I don't think Nieva's going to be close enough to make a move.
Sanchez has been very quick recently in this car. Very popular streamer on iRacing. And he's actually already got 2 wins in this series, trying to make it 3. If he can get another one, if he can get this one and another one, he'll enter kind of an elite category. There have been only 8 drivers in the history of the Grand Prix Legends that have taken more than 3 wins. So he's trying to see if he can work his way forward on that one as we watch from Nieva. Meanwhile, Hisada's already trying to make inroads, getting back up to the leaders. He's been fighting with Robert Plumley.
Absolutely. Excuse me, but I think, Nieva's, not Nieva, the Hisada, sorry, is trying to make a move on Plumley, and I think it wouldn't surprise me if Hisada tries to make a move on Plumley on the exit of the Moss corner and maybe tries to set up for the exit. But Robert Plumley has just been having a quiet race so far. He's just been keeping out of trouble, and at the moment being rewarded with sitting in 5th place at the moment, and behind GDS as well. So yeah, plenty of drivers making good progress through the field, while other drivers have been having issues.
So Nieva still stalking on Sanchez here, and they're going to overtake one of our lap drivers, Back Row Bob, as he's known, and he embraces that nickname. Usually tries to stay out of the way of the leader, as he knows how to deal with lap traffic quite well at this point and does a very good job typically. These two trying to see if they can keep Ove Trangrade from stealing this one. But if I know Ove, he is going to try and jump as soon as there's an opportunity.
Yeah, just sitting in a good position at the moment. I think he's, I wouldn't say hanging back, but just maybe just playing that game, just playing the waiting game and seeing if anything happens between Sanchez and Nieva. And Nieva as well, actually, has closed that gap back up to Sanchez in front of him. So I don't know if Sanchez has lost a little bit of pace or if he's just been very, very careful not to make any mistakes. But as Nieva closes up into Moss corner, and Trangrade, as I say, that closes up in Nieva into Moss corner as well. So it looks like Trangrade's got a good exit, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move into the S's.
We couldn't see it on screen, but Jack David Spickett went way wide, 2 wheels off, and Moss just about lost the car and didn't lose a position. But here we go. A look to the outside. Nieva's going to try and take it, but he's not quite side by side enough, and he's going to slot back in. We're just about to the halfway point of this race now. And the top 3 here, Sanchez, Nieva, Trangrade, look to be your drivers most likely to fight for the win on this one.
Absolutely, and I think, I said that as well. Nieva closed up to Sanchez, but I think Trangrade right now as well. It's a good point that someone mentioned. Mick Claris just mentioned it as well. I think Trangrade's maybe just holding back a little bit, but as I say that, it doesn't look like he's holding back now, because he's closed right up into the back of Jorge Nieva as they come through Quebec corner.
Looks like the damage for Glenn Becker has been too much. He has since taken a pit stop after he had his contact. It looks like he stayed out a little bit, but car was not able to carry on as he would have liked. Meanwhile, top three now out of Moss once again. Who gets the run? It seems like these draft trains are becoming quite important as we watch JDS look a lot smoother this time, coming off that same hairpin, and is keeping Hisada from being able to get any higher up. He's overtaken Robert Plumley, has Togo. Oh, and has Nieva done it this time? He gets side by side once again. He's just always shy. Sanchez doing a beautiful job of keeping him from being able to get completely where he needs to be.
Yeah, it just seems to be every time Nieva gets a run down that back straight, he keeps getting closer and closer, and then that's that situation in real life sometimes as well. You can get close to the car in front of you, but you just run out of time or run out of space to try and get close to the slipstream to make a move. But Trentgrade as well, definitely closing up through Clayton Corner, and I think he's not trying to make a move, but it's one of those mindset things, maybe just trying to unsettle Nieva a little bit.
Could be. And right now, it's not really working. Sanchez has been holding on. We haven't seen major mistakes out of him as they plunge down through turn 4. Heavy compression here into Moss Corner. And then everybody trying to get as good of an exit as they can. Just glancing that inside curb did Jorge Nieva beautifully. But it doesn't look like this time. I don't think he's going to get side by side.
Not this time around. He's too far behind and he's not close enough in the slipstream. Glancing that curb on the inside just unsettled his run a little bit as Nieva gets a little bit sideways on the entry to the S's there, and he's definitely feeling the pressure.
Don't need to go to it, but Matthew Maudsley lost a position with an off there coming out of Clayton Corner. He's thankfully survived. Not often you'll see drivers get 4 wheels in the grass there and be able to get away with it. Usually it's a one-way trip down into the tire barriers, but as we come down through turn 1, we're watching Hisada yet again, and Plumley kind of dropping off of Togo, but he's also not been able to make much inroads on Jack David Spickett, who is back to where he started this race. Actually, top 5, all back to where they gridded up despite a lot of drama up at the front.
Absolutely, and as JDS and the Hisada come through Quebec Corner now, it looks like Hisada's definitely... He's slowly but surely on the move, and I think if he gets by GDS, I don't think he's going to be able to... He actually might be able to close that gap down to the top 3 in front, but I don't think a win's on the radar today, unfortunately, just because he ended up falling back slightly in the early stages, but definitely getting closer in the slipstream now of JDS, and I think it's just a matter of time before Hisada makes the move now, and Hisada's one of those drivers that's not afraid to go for a move.
Absolutely. That's one thing I do love about him is he's kind of that no attack, no chance philosophy on racing. And I wouldn't say he's overly aggressive either. He just is, like you said, unafraid to really get in there and try to mix it up. But Togo Hisada still just behind Jack David Spickett, running right now in 5th position. Was the fastest driver on the circuit last time by with a 17.5, interestingly.
Indeed, as we ride aboard with Hisada, heading into Quebec Corner now, he's closing right up under braking, and he leaves his braking super late, and he closes right up on JDS, and I don't think he's going to make a move into Moss Corner, but I think he's definitely, if he gets close enough, he might try and set up. Whoa! Hisada taking it off that inside curb, and yeah, that's very brave for sure, but setting up for the exit of Moss Corner, and he's definitely close now, but again, GDS is pulling away ever so slightly on the exit, and I think Hisada, he's definitely closing up on the slipstream, and I think he might try and go for a move on the outside, but as JDS goes to defend, and Hisada, as I say that, definitely goes to the outside, and again, just runs out of time to make the move.
He wanted it badly, but just couldn't find the opening that he desired through there that time. Still, he's putting the pressure on. There could be something in it if they're not careful, as we got more battling behind them. Neil Kemp, I think, just got a spot over Steve Morris. That or Salgado overtaking Kemp. A 3-way battle for those drivers back in 10th, 11th, and 12th that we've been seeing every once in a while. There they are on screen now, heading down through turn 1.
Oh no. So, yeah. Yeah, it looks like Hassad has made the move on GDS now, so Hassad are up into 4th place, and it looks like GDS might have just ran wide slightly into Clayton Corner.
Never fails. As soon as I spot a battle somewhere else, the one we had been watching finally has something happen. You're right. Just went a little bit wide there, did Spickett, and let Hassada through. The Japanese driver does not sit around when he sees a door open. So now he has to see if he's quick enough to chase down the leaders. About 3 seconds to made up. Back to Nieva. Speaking of which, this could slow them up quite a bit. He's going to try and attack on Sanchez. Oh, but he opens the door for Trangarade. Trangarade's going to try and get in there. They almost make contact. The door is shut as Nieva just chops across him.
Yeah, I thought that was going to end up in contact between Nieva and Trangarade because their wheels were only inches apart, and somehow they managed to survive it. But this is a fantastic battle for the lead and pretty much a fantastic battle for the win, and the top 3 all together now. And I think with 9 laps to go, I think Trangrade's pretty much decided now is the time to go.
Absolutely. We were wondering if he was just sitting and waiting patiently, which is honestly unusual for Ove. He tends to be one that loves to battle at all times. In fact, we've seen him, and he's admitted as much, that he'll intentionally slow from the lead if he has too much of a lead, just because he wants a good fight and isn't interested in just trouncing the field. He wants to try and have some fun out there. Meanwhile, coming off the corner of Moss once again, this is a fantastic run from Ove.
Yeah, and Jorge, he compromised his exit there. He clipped that inside curve on the exit, and that's it compromised his exit, and that's a compromised run. And it looks like Trangrade again trying to make a move up the inside. Can he get it done? He's up the inside, but the Ava's not going to give up. I think Trangrade up into 2nd, and the next car in front of him is Sanchez. This is it's Trangrade gets a bit sketchy there.
Yeah, lost it a little bit, and that's how we're used to seeing that car handle for Ove. The Norwegian loves the car that gets sideways, and Nieva had to back out of it because of that. As they come around, 8 laps to go. Now it's on. Sanchez probably appreciated that little distraction because that gives him a small buffer once again. I don't think it's over, as that is the lapped car of Robert Brown that was off the circuit.
And as they come through Quebec corner now, I think, yeah, definitely. I don't know if Nieva's tyres have just dropped off or if he's just struggling for pace a little bit, but yeah, I think it was just a matter of time before Trangrade got by, and yeah, Trangrade's pretty much I don't know why. I know it sounds like a weird analogy, but watching Trangrade in these races towards the end, it kind of reminds me of Rick Mears, where he hides his pace and then all of a sudden he just unleashes it.
Exactly. He's kind of just playing possum here a little bit. Could he take his 3rd win at this track, as he had a big run but decided not to take it that time? Kind of don't blame him. He wasn't anywhere close enough. If he does get a win, it'll tie him with Cortiniemi, putting them even on 3rd winningest driver ever in the series.
Yeah, that's definitely a good achievement as well. And I think Trangrade's definitely closed up to the rear of Sanchez now. And I think this is going to be the stage of the race where the Sanchez's defensive game is going to be put to the test, because we know how quick Trangrade is. We know how much I wouldn't say how aggressive he is, but he likes to try and put drivers under pressure and try and unsettle them, like we saw him do with Nieva. And as you see there, I think Nieva's just slowly dropping back now. I think he's kind of maybe at this stage of the race trying to play it sensible, maybe just settle for a podium finish or wait and see what happens with Trangrade and Sanchez.
The thing I wonder about Sanchez is he on his game enough today that they're not going to be able to make him crack? Because I'm trying to think, have we seen any real major mistakes out of him? Yes, he's been under attack, but I don't think we've seen him have some kind of big slide or hiccup.
Yeah, and it looks like Trangrade's got the run headed into the S's now. He's going to try and go on the outside. If this will be a brave move if he can pull it off, but again, just decides to tuck in behind, and Sanchez doing a good defensive job at the moment, but Nieva's definitely closing back up. But I think it's just that waiting game of seeing what's going to happen. And Trangrade, I think, is going to try everything to try and make a move. There's a bit of smoke into turn 1, but it looks like that there's no car in the way now, or a car in the way, unfortunately. But yeah, this is definitely a great race, and not too far behind when you think about it. Toko Asada, if anything happens with the top three up front, he could be there to pounce and maybe pick up a podium position, or dare I say it, maybe even a win.
And Ove was definitely getting valuable information, I would think, from that attempt down into the S's. Yes, he took it in a little bit deep, but will he be able to maybe make do next time and be able to correct the error and get around, as they've still got Nieva just watching? And if those two tangle, Nieva is going to run away laughing, no doubt. But he was sitting in second place for the vast majority of this race. In fact, for a brief moment, he was even leading very early on. Time's running out. Who's going to have something at the end?
That's a question that definitely remains to be answered. And every time I watch Ove in the slipstream behind Sanchez, I just wonder if Ove's maybe set his gearing up just slightly long, maybe set up his final drive maybe a wee bit long just to help in the slipstream so he doesn't hit the limiter. But with that, maybe just compromises him with how late he closes up on Sanchez.
That's a good point, that you've got all the gearing at your disposal in this car on the setup. Maybe he was aware that it was going to be a little bit of a draft battle if he's fighting for the win here at the end, or we could get a little bit of lap traffic. All three of them check up. Ove takes a look down to the inside. Can't do anything with it. That's Derek Matthews, who is now able to pull out of the way. I thought for sure somebody was going to get a position there.
I thought there was going to be an accident there for a second there. That was how close they all got, but thankfully the top three all managed to get through in one piece and without any issues. And that's another thing with this Mosport track as well. If you catch traffic in the wrong place, that can definitely compromise you. And the top three definitely got, well, I'd say the top two definitely got compromised. Jorge Nieva was probably sitting in third place laughing about it.
Yeah, and we understand, we're getting word that he's been lifting a little bit here, so he could be trying to play the same game that we saw Ove playing before, just waiting for the right moment, setting himself up, and then giving him the hard charge at the end. We've had a problem with Ackerman. He is off here at Moss Corner, and I think that involves Mats Linden. It looks like, two of them making contact, and Ackerman actually also had a little bit of contact with Maudsley, I can see. Meanwhile, back to Jack David Spickett in fifth place. Hisada got by, but he's not run away. He's sticking with him. This track known for some draft trains and lower-powered cars, but I would not consider this a lowered-power car usually. But apparently it's working out quite a treat, as not many are able to get away from one another with that long Mario Andretti straight, just keeping everybody in touch.
Indeed, as I head through Moss Corner now, and JDS as well is definitely doing a good job of keeping up with Hisada as well, and same with Robert Plumley, and pretty much the cars behind. And again, just looking back up at the front as well, and I think Jorge Nieva has definitely dropped back a lot, or just a little bit, because he's not as close to Trengrade as he was before. But it looks like I think I don't know if Nieva's maybe run wide in Moss Corner.
He did. I caught it out of the corner of my eye that he just dipped two wheels into there and got away with it, but he unfortunately cost himself quite a bit of distance to our top drivers. Trangrade now with the fastest lap and a big peak to the inside down at Clayton Corner. Unfortunately, the lap traffic also holding up Nieva, so he can't close in from that one. That was Robert Reynolds. Oh, around the outside now, coming through Quebec. Not a common place to see a move like that, and just about pulled it off.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely, you would have thought taking the outside line into Quebec might have compromised you on the exit, but it looks like it actually helped Trengrade carry that momentum slightly.
And it helped Nieva. He's back in the hunt. 3 laps to go now. It's coming down to it. Will moves of desperation start to rear their heads? Will the drivers start to maybe take a few more risks here to try and take the win? Any of these 3 can try and take it. And right there, Trangrade tried his best to see if he could take it down the inside of turn 8, but he didn't have the speed. out of the final corner, out of whites, and to the start-finish line. 2 to go now as they plunge back into turn 1. Sanchez has been leading for most of this race. We said that he was looking solid, but we're now starting to see tiny little cracks form.
Yeah, I think definitely Trent Gray's feeling racy now, and we've got 2 laps remaining in the race, and the only place I can think of Trent Gray could make a move is setting up for that exit on Moss Corner and carrying his speed and trying to get a run on Sanchez. But I don't know. It's one of those. Apart from that, I don't know where Trent Gray could make the move, as they've got the traffic in front of them, and it looks like actually, as I say that, Trent Gray's got a great exit.
Oh, here we go. I think Ove is going to go for the move here. He's got the slipstream. Question is, which side is he going to have to do it on? Will Sanchez cover the inside? Yes, he does. Forces him to go the long way around, trying to open up the corner. The Norwegian breaks as deep as he dares, but so does Sanchez. Wheel to wheel through the corner, feeds Ove out, and he can't get it done this time.
Yeah, Trent Gray was a lot closer that time around, but it was a case of just running out of time and trying to get the move done, and Sanchez braked super late as well, and he's not giving us up without a fight, and it's got a bit of a gap to Trent Gray behind him as we're onto the final lap now.
And they've got Richard Covington, a lapped car in front of them. This could play a part depending on where they catch him as they plunge down through Clayton. We're all keeping our eyes open for Moss Corner. Who's going to get the exit out of there? That is probably going to decide our winner.
And if you've got another back marker in front of them heading down to Moss Corner, this could be bad for Sanchez, or it could be a good thing for Trent Gray. I think Sanchez is going to get the back marker on the exit of Moss Corner, and Sanchez just needs to get this exit perfect, and he should have it in the bag.
Oh, they spun his tires up, and that's too much. Nieva's going to sneak by, but that hurts both of them. You're right, Sanchez just planted it coming out of Moss hairpin, and he is nowhere to be seen as he streaks away from them at the crucial time, but Nieva makes a mistake, and Trent Gray goes right back through. It changes hands for the second time in one lap, but it's only going to be for second place because Xavier Sanchez is going to take his 3rd win ever of the series here in the Grand Prix Legends Series, and Trent Gray 2nd, Nieva 3rd. What a battle for the podium all the way down to the finish.
Absolutely. Oh, it looks like we've had an accident as well, and it looks like, just having a look to see who it is, that's Neil Kemp from 11th.
It is. He's losing a few more spots as he tries to get the car rolling and limp it to the finish line. Looks like he's going to be able to at least get 12th here as he recovers that number 11 car. Don't see many more battles, though, behind that as 23 of our 37 starters going to manage to complete all 27 of them. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Mosport. We had a heck of a race here. We asked if it could stand up to what we saw at Monza. I'd say that's a yes. That was a good one. Xavier Sanchez, though, takes his third ever win of the series. Also, we didn't get to mention that was his first pole position as well here on the broadcast races. Ove Tranqueray was second in the end as Jorge Nieva finished third, rounding out your podium. Toga Hisada probably would have had a good shot at the win if he had kept up with him, but unfortunately, his one mistake cost him, and he fell back, only able to recover to fourth. Jack David Spickett got himself a top five as Robert Plumley was sixth and Jeff Saunders seventh, and it was Ben Zocco finishing eighth today, followed by David Rossi in ninth and Steve Morse with an 8-position gain to round out your top 10.
Finishing in 11th was Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, and then 12th was Neil Kemp, for 13th going to Matthew Maudsley. Yuri Geisen, after having issues earlier on, finishes in 14th, with 15th going to Max London. Jason Clapper 16th, with 17th going to Andrew N. Dario Frattini in 18th, Bjorn Ackerman in 19th, and Jonathan Jordan in 20th.
Jaden Hopp was 21st. Kurt Clapper, as he usually doesn't qualify, jumped from 35th to 22nd. Jan Stephen was 23rd, last driver on the lead lap. Richard Covington, first one to be lapped, was 24th. Robert Abrota in 25th, and Isan Ginn at 26th. And already earned a driver's 2 laps down. Back row Bob was 27th. Thomas Tuba, unfortunately, didn't get to finish the race. He was 28th. And Robert Brown, likewise, 29th. Glenn Becker got back out on track and finished 30th. From there on down, sadly, I don't see any of these drivers seeing the checkered flag. They all called it quits a little bit early. We were hoping we'd be able to talk to Heike 360, as he's known, Xavier Sanchez, but not seeing sign of him quite yet. I know everybody's been trying to shout at him to come and talk to us over in the community over there, but he might be still busy streaming. So whatever the case, congratulations to Sanchez. Ryan, this was a real thriller today, and color me a bit surprised. I know that the slipstream does have an effect, at least in this car, down the Mario Andretti straight, but I didn't expect it to be as powerful as we saw it be.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. Normally, sometimes around Mosport, there seems to be a bit, the pack seems to break up at points sometimes, but I have to say that battle up at the front between the top three for the win was just absolutely fantastic to watch, and even further back in the field as well, that battle for I think it was pretty much 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, or pretty much in the mid pack was good stuff as well. And it's proof again that the Lotus 49 rides great racing, and the Lotus 49 community in general is probably one of the best and one of my favourites.
Same, it just always puts on a thriller. Now it looks like sadly nobody has joined us, so everybody a little bit too tired after this rough Canadian track. So guess we'll close it out and give a big thank you to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, a thank you to the team today, Rob, Ryan, and Dougie. And make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store, so you don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race, going to be at a newer track. They've only raced there once, Sandown. That'll be Saturday, July 1st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts, because another first time here, Camel is going to Aragon, a track just released a few weeks ago. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.